Hi, and welcome to this podcast episode today. I want to welcome Dorothy Martin. Welcome, Dorothy.
Hi, Cecilia. So lovely to be here.
Hi, lovely to speak to you. We are going to have a chat today. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dorothy, you are from UK. I have spoken, or you are from
Yes,
UK. Yeah, and I've
that's good.
spoken to a lot of people from UK lately. So so I have to practice my English because I'm from
Yes,
Sweden.
good. Well,
Yeah.
your English is amazing. Your English is absolutely amazing. I live in the UK, but I am Polish. I come from Poland.
Ah,
But I came to the UK, gosh, like 23 years ago. So it really is my home now, UK. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then it's not our first language,
No,
English.
no,
No.
it's not
So
our first language. Yes.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I used to say that it's not the language I we are pointed to. It's is the space that we can come together and get supported and just relax together. And that's behind the language and behind the words. And you working in UK as a coach, transformative coach, and a lot of work you do with women, help women.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes. So I have been now, gosh, it's going to be, gosh, I think next year in March is probably around 8 years since I've started working as a coach. So it's been quite a journey. And yes, my focus is on stress, burnout, relationships as well, because guess what, relationships sometimes can be very, very stressful as well. So yes, and my practice is men and women both, but there is always more women, so there is always like 65, sometimes 70% women. But I love working with men as well. But yeah, I love this work, absolutely love it. And yeah, that's why I'm so delighted to be here, Cecilia, with you to talk and explore. Actually, as you know, we wanted to explore stress and burnout, and especially burnout as a topic. So I'm really, really happy to
Yeah.
be here. Mm.
It's just what you said. We are talking. We're going to talk from the topic burnout, and so now when you speak about that, women is a huge group of your clients. That's a big thing because we we often see that we women we get very stressed. We think that we must take care of a lot in the family.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's that is very, very true. And women get stressed, but I can promise you, in the same way, I see men get stressed as well, because in a way, for the same reasons, for from a different perspectives. So the experience of stress is such a universal experience. We all have it. And it's so interesting because most of us, I would say, we don't actually really understand it. We don't really understand how it is created, how we experience it, and what is the most helpful way to kind of navigate it in a healthier, more effective way. And that's why, because we don't understand it very well, that's why very often what happens is that the stress accumulates. We go faster, because when we get stressed, we go even faster, doing. And you know what happens? Then burnout happens. So I see it that happens for women, and I also see it that happens for men as well. Yes, but women, especially from that caregiving perspective, are at, higher in a way risk, because women usually are caregivers naturally. And actually women, and I see it in the caregiving professions as well. So for example, I sometimes work with nurses, I sometimes work with therapists as well, work with people who are in the caregiving profession. And what I see, how difficult it is to switch that focus, instead of caregiving, care receiving, stopping, and actually that stopping and allowing yourself to receive that care. It's challenging. It's challenging for women caregivers. It was for me as well. I don't know what is your
It's
take
my
on
area, nursing. I have been done that in all my life. So taking care of people in the hospital, and now I take care of elder people with I don't know what you call it when you come to remember things. What is that you say in English? Alzheimer and
dementia.
Yeah. So for the moment, I work with that. From being at the hospital in 20 years and taking care of mothers having children, so it's the different part of life. But I like both. It's yeah, but it's easy to run very fast and get stressed when a lot of people want you to have your help, and you need to just you can't do everything. You can't run to everyone and help everyone at all at once.
Yes.
So you have to take a step back and leave some of it, and that's not easy sometimes when you're working with that, because it's people. It's not things.
Yes, absolutely. I find that taking a step back, it's not easy, especially for women looking after their families, especially people in the caregiving profession, because there is like you said, a lot of pressure, a lot of demand, and that taking a step back is difficult. It really is difficult. But at the same time, as you know, it's necessary. It's really necessary. And learning that can really help us and navigate away from the burnout, not into a burnout, which can happen in those situations.
But what I see is that it's really a misunderstanding with how to do when you started to get stressed. Because when I started to get stressed before, I was searching even more for things to help me, instead of notice that, oh my God, I feel a little bit upset, or I feel not comfortable right now. Do I need to do anything now, or can I just take it as a message for me that I had to take a step back? It wasn't something that I learned, and I don't think people learn that that's the thing that we really need to do.
Yeah. I have exactly the same experience. I haven't been taught that as well, and we are not. What I think we are usually taught is that the stress is triggered, and in those situations we will feel stress because of what's happening around us, isn't it? There is a lot of pressure, there is a lot of people that that need your help. There is a lot of different circumstances, and we learn that those circumstances trigger stress in us. And that was exactly my experience. So I was experiencing a lot of stress. And when you experience a lot of stress and you don't really understand what's happening, you think that it's being triggered, you then want to literally make sure that all those situations are in a way fixed, so they stop triggering stress for you. So you're constantly trying to fix the situation so you don't feel stressed. And then I love what you're saying as well, and this is what I was doing as well, also constantly looking for something to decrease that experience of stress. So all the time searching for something to do, a strategy or something to do to really help ourselves to decrease that experience of stress. So yes, in my experience was like when I was getting stressed, I felt that I was speeding up because I felt, oh, I need to address this situation, this situation, this situation, a lot of doing so I can have less stress. And on top of that, I need to practice, I need to go to the gym, I need to go for a walk, I need to do this, I need to do this to have less stress. And in that way, what I found in my experience, that although my intention was very good, I really was looking to have less stress, but the way I was being and my understanding at the time took me on the journey of speeding up and actually doing more. And then through that doing more and more and more, still feeling stress and more stress and more stress until I got burnt out. And then in that moment of my experience of burnout, I started to understand what was going on. Because yeah, as you said, we are not learning about it. Nobody's teaching about it. But yes, for me, in the midst of this experience of burnout, where I literally have run out of my energy to do things about my stress, I got to this point, like I thought, gosh, I'm trying so hard to have less stress, to have more well-being, to be a happier person. I'm doing so much and I'm not getting anywhere. And I felt like I was working so hard on it and I was just not getting anywhere. And it kept me in this vicious circle because I didn't know any other way. And then miraculously, in my experience of burnout, I've shared with you, Cecilia, I've discovered this book by Jack Pransky, Somebody Should Have Told Us. And it's a long story, but I started to read this book, and this book has really illuminated to me what was really happening. And, you know, that turning of attention for everything out there to what was happening inside within me, and how I was actually this active participant in creating my stress. And I'm saying this, I was active creator of my stress, but I didn't know it. So it was very innocent. I didn't know any other way. But that book really illuminated to me how we create our experience, how our experience is created, and how innocently sometimes we create, you know, more stress than necessary. So yes, for me, going through this journey and getting burnt out was actually something really valuable. It was something very painful, something very difficult, something very challenging, but at the same time, it was something very, very valuable, because it really helped me to understand something that I did not understand before. And through that understanding, I've shared it with you, Cecilia, already as well. My life has completely, literally changed and shifted, because it does once we start to really realize what's going on in the mind and how we experience the thought and feeling, how this is all connected. It all starts to make sense. So it's been a huge shift for me. And yeah, then from then the path to recovery, etc., etc. But I'd love to hear from you. How was your experience, and what did you learn from it?
Thank you so much, Dorothy. And that's lovely that you found that book. Yeah. And it touched you, so you could see for yourself that it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And what I always felt when and sometimes I still do, but not like before, it's when you always have to do something, when you feel this uncomfortable feelings, you get stressed and about circumstances in life, and you get hang up on it, you always got this feeling of not being enough. Whatever you do, you are not good enough. And that's not a pleasant feeling.
Yeah.
So I had that experience every time something happened, every time that something was wrong with me. I'm not like the others. I have to run faster. I have to be better. And I don't think that we ever can silence all those thoughts, because we think that we want to be better. We all do. But I can see faster now, when I have been burnout, that it's not helpful to always move the speed up and make any more.
Yeah.
So I've gone through my life and have gone through burnout a couple of times with depression, and had to stay home from work, and things in my life didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then the body said no. The body gave me a depression and said, no, you have to stay here in your sofa or your bed, because and it's enough. And the depression was a help. I couldn't see it like a help when it came, but I can see it now that it was my help, because the body didn't want to do anything anymore. So, and I couldn't think anymore. It was like I didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
And maybe that was good.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And we don't. So we try even more, and we take medicine, and we go in and speak with a therapist, and we try a lot of stuff, because we want to work on our depression. But we are already so tired. And it doesn't work for the mind to think anymore.
Yeah. I everything that you are saying, Cecilia, resonates with me so much. Starting from this, I'm not good enough, there is something wrong with me, and I was there as well, because as you are constantly focusing on doing, to do something about the stress, to stop the stress, but you caught in the doing, and it's not working, isn't it? It's not working.
No.
Then of course you start thinking, there is something wrong with me. Look at other people. They seem to monitor. I had that as well. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I went with it. Must be something that is so wrong with me. Something must be so wrong with me. And yes, then exactly the same as you talk, I really can go back into that moment in my life when literally I felt exhausted, and this is this physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, and mental exhaustion, where you really feel like now I see that your mind is so full of thoughts. It's such an overwhelm that it feels blocked and it just stops. And the body as well is just like all this energy has been utilized, and nothing seemed to refuel it. This was my experience. It was like complete standstill, gone, finished. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? And it's very, very uncomfortable, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. This is a really challenging experience, and I know when I was going through it, I was very worried for myself. And also having a background in psychology, I was like, oh, I should be knowing all this. This shouldn't be happening to me, but it did. And it's very, very challenging. It's very, very difficult. But at the same time, I feel, Cecilia, I feel that, for me, this standstill was the only experience that could actually stop me. Because if I had another little bit of energy in me, I would keep going. I was so focused on keeping going that I think that, again, as you're saying, this was the wisdom. There was a health in me that something was just like, no, stand still. There is a deeper wisdom. You need to stop, because that running is not getting you anywhere. And sometimes we need to get stopped like this. And I sometimes laugh that this is some kind of a hand of grace really stopped me, because as I stopped in the complete exhaustion, and I just like, okay, now what? That turning perspective from the outside to what's happening inside would not have happened, because I was so oriented on the outside and so lost in doing that the turning, I literally feel that for me it would not happen. So this was really, yes, uncomfortable, but at the same time it was something that was really needed to stop. I needed that stop, because I needed a little time to turn my attention around from the outside to the inside, and started to notice what was happening within me. What was this environment? We are always so focused on the environment outside, but we don't often focus on our inner environment. And especially with that book, as I started to read it, I started to turn around and be more curious and see what was happening within me. And then, Jack Pransky, this book, Somebody Should Have Told Us, is so simple, and it's so beautifully taken me from just one step after another, turning inwards and really explaining it with such a beautiful, easy way, portraying everything with simple metaphors and stories, that I literally started to see that I was experiencing this chronic stress and burnout because of what was happening within my mind. and I started to see it. And you know, I remember this moment when I was reading this book. I think there is a chapter 9, and in the chapter 9, Jack Pransky talks about that it is unwise to believe and to trust your thinking if you feel low, if you feel anxious, if basically in a low level of consciousness, it is unwise to trust your thinking. And that was such a huge bulb moment for me. It's just like something has lit up, because I literally saw it. I was like, wow, I am experiencing my experience right now. It's all to do with what's happening in my mind. And I saw it so clearly, and I suddenly saw it all. It's not because it's something wrong with me. It's not because there is something wrong with the world. It's not because there is something wrong with people around me. It's nothing to do with this. It's nothing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like this because I am having all this thinking that there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with the world. There's something people. There's a big difference. And, you know, in that moment, Cecilia, I've experienced like some kind of relaxation. I was like, oh my God. And I remember my body relaxed because suddenly I saw it. And in that relaxation of my body, I think as I look back on my journey, I think this is where my energy started to come back, because I've relaxed. Before, I would still be tensing, trying to find out what was wrong with me, trying to worry. But through this book, I started to see. And in that seeing, in that simplicity, in that understanding where my experience was coming from, my body relaxed. And I think that was the moment that I started to feel like my energy was coming back. So this book, literally, when I talk about it, sometimes I feel that it helped me to plug in again, you know, it's like into a life energy. That book plugged me back into the life energy of life, because it cleared some huge misunderstanding for me, and helped me realize how I am creating my experience every single moment of my life. So there was a huge moment. And, you know, I see it that my burnout, I'm grateful for it right now. I know it's a weird thing to say, but right now, from this perspective where I am right now, I can say it, that I'm grateful, because I know it stopped me in my tracks. Yeah.
Well, this is a very helpful sharing you do, Dorothy, because the thing that you talk about to just relax your body step by step, to take it easy on you and just make space and time to just be curious about what all these feelings that I got, all this tense that I feel, how they slowly can just relax in your body after step by step you let go of your beliefs and your messy thoughts, and make it more simple, more simplicity. You bring in some more simplicity in your life. And that's, I think it supports very well when we talk about to take that small steps, to start somewhere, even if we don't understand and can make it we don't get it. So we just be curious and take the small steps, and it opens up for more relaxing in our body when we let go of all the beliefs that we have had.
Yeah.
Because it can be it's different. Some people they get it like this, and some people need some time. They maybe have a lot of beliefs in their head, and it's not that easy to just let go of everything you have thought about yourself.
Of course.
And to be open that it's not that it's wrong with me. It's just that I had so strongly beliefs about this, so I have to maybe come back to this moment and start to be more here. And that's not easy, to not be hang up in our thoughts and start to listen and be here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, it is not easy, and sometimes we take a little steps, 100%, and I've taken little steps. Like, that book was a little steps that for some reason I was open to seeing it. But you know, I've read other books from about understanding of the mind prior to that, and I didn't get it. You know, I didn't see it. I was still, the way I see it now, I was still so in a hurry and focused on the outside and all the doing, that I didn't have a clue what those books were talking about, and they were pointing me on the inside. I didn't understand. So in my journey, being stopped, being literally come to that point that having no energy, that allowed me to really see. And for everyone, every person's journey is so different, and that's good, because we are all different. And as we then share our journeys, they will inspire other people, because other people have different journeys. So it's 100%. It's not easy to let go of, you know, difficult, challenging beliefs, limiting beliefs. I am on the constant journey to look at that. So that moment and the turning away, that was beautiful moment, but my journey continues, because as I keep going in my life, I see all the time there are sometimes still those conditioned beliefs that I have that kind of put me back into that low feeling. But now I know, now I know. So every time I feel low, every time I feel tense, every time I feel anxious, now I'm like, I need to go and see what's happening here. Okay. So it's constantly, I'm being aware that there are moments that I experience that are like this. But now with the understanding what is happening in those moments, I know that I don't have to blame myself. There's something wrong with me. I know that I don't have to blame people in my life. There is something wrong with them. And I used to do that a lot. And I don't have to blame the world. There is something wrong with the whole world, and the whole world has to change for me to be better. Now I know what is really happening. So I relax into that knowing, because I know I just got stuck into unhelpful ways of thinking and seeing the world. And it's human. Sometimes we all do it. And, you know, and then I stay with myself and just give myself a bit more self-care and a bit more understanding. And sometimes I speak to my coach, and I sometimes speak to a friend. But what I really love about this book, and one of my key insights, was that when we feel low or when we feel stressed when we feel anxious, the reason is that we think certain things. There is a thought that occurs in our mind. And I've learned to be curious about this. I've learned to be curious about it because Jack Pransky says, be curious. It is unwise to trust it. So now I've learned, I'm like, wow, if I'm feeling low, I'm thinking low, it's not wise to trust it. So I'm curious, I'm bringing curiosity. And now I see more and more that yes, it is not, it's now, Cecilia, it's coming this December, it's going to be 10 years since my burnout. So my journey with this understanding has been amazing, and deepening of this understanding, experiencing stress, remembering it, feeling low, remembering it, feeling tense, remembering, and always coming back to this understanding. And it's ongoing. So this is totally ongoing. But something else that I wanted to share, I don't know if it's helpful, but it kind of illustrates a little bit more that sometimes those unhelpful thoughts are bringing us down. In that moment, 10 years ago in December, when I read this book, Somebody Should Have Told Us, for the very first time, I had this, I don't know, like a metaphor, I don't know how to call it. In that moment, I suddenly saw myself like I was drowning in the sea, because my experience of burnout really felt like, although I was trying to keep on the surface, pedaling, doing things to keep myself on the surface, with my energy not being there, I couldn't pedal so hard, and then I stopped pedaling. I was literally started to drown. It felt like I was literally going down, deeper into the deep of the ocean. I felt like I was drowning, going into the deepest of the dark. And with this book, what I've realized is that, and I thought when I was drowning, I thought this is something so wrong with me that I'm drowning because I'm trying to do stuff to pull myself up, but it's not happening. Nothing is working. Now, then with this book, I realized that I was drowning because in a way I was holding, literally, like I saw myself holding those heavy, like bricks or stones, which was like a metaphor for unhelpful ways of thinking about myself, about life, and about people. And I saw how I was like, I saw I was holding on onto so many unhelpful bricks, stones, thoughts. I was holding on, and I saw, oh my God, I said, I'm drowning because I'm holding on. This person should be better. This person shouldn't behave like this. This should be different. I should be different. I had this narrative was filling my mind, and I saw that I was holding it, and I saw that I was drowning because I didn't see that I was even holding it. And this is really, and then we get exhausted because we don't see those unhelpful ways of thinking, and then we try to do something on top of it. Of course it's not going to work. Of course it's going to be exhausted. And through this book, and I'm just sharing this, but I wrote about this in one of my blogs. This was this moment that through this seeing and realization, my hands literally like opened, and as my hands started to open, this brick started to fall off. They kind of like started to float away, And I started to feel the natural, without those stones, guess what? There was this natural kind of like the sea started to pull me up. Suddenly I started to go, instead of going down, the direction changed and I was being carried. That is how I felt, that the life started to carry me up to the surface. And again, this is that relaxation, because in that moment of realization I relaxed. And I think then, as you relax, you literally relax, and there was this moment of like relaxation, some of those unhelpful ways of thinking got floated away, and I was pulled beautifully up into the sea, and really felt like it was nothing to do with me doing anything. It was just pure, I don't know, just awareness, just understanding and trust. I think that's what I felt. And this is where I felt this kind of plug in, like I felt like I was plugged in back into that energy. But I'm sharing this to illustrate that if we are feeling low, if we are feeling depressed, there is only one cause, and the cause is in our mind. The cause is thought. In that moment, we are just misusing the power of thought, and we are identifying with the thought that is not helpful and is actually, the way I see it now, it's a lie. It's far from the truth. But anyways, I'd love to hear what you are hearing, and I'd love to hear, if that resonates with your experiences as well and how you're seeing it.
What we learn is that we can decide what thoughts we want to come up, and thought just pops up. It pops, and sometimes we don't know why. It just pops, like we have to choose which thought do we want to believe in. And what you're telling, and what I hear, is that you can, with your understanding, you can just let those thoughts pops up, and you can also let them be. You don't need to bring them any deeper inside of you. You can just realize that they are there, and then they moving on, and new thoughts are popping up, and it pops all the time.
Yes.
Thousands of pops. Thought
yes,
pops.
Yes.
And we don't need to think that all those thoughts is something about me. It's just something we can use, and thoughts are very good to use in many ways. It's not all the negative to have thoughts.
Of course.
There are a lot of thoughts that we can help us in life to do very beautiful things. But there are also very unpleasant thoughts that says that you are not good enough, you are awful, you're not doing this right, and those kinds of thoughts. And it's just to have your feet on the ground and let these thoughts moving through you without too much attention. And to do that, you must have a deeper understanding who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't believe, like I did, that you are all these thoughts. Because if you don't go deeper with yourself and look, make these silent moments where you look inside instead, because it's really like opposite. Everything that I thought it was looking outside to help, making all this things to get better, it was the opposite. Not doing it.
Yeah.
It's a sign, and we don't know that. I didn't know that. It's a sign for me. My body tells me that, or my mind, something tells me, my wisdom tells me, now it's time for you to step back a little.
Yes.
But before I didn't know that. So I always keep going. And sometimes I still do, because I'm human.
Yeah.
And we are all in this journey. Whole
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Whole life. But
Yes.
I do recognize it more faster.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So I can feel like, oh, I'm exhausted now. I really need some rest.
Yes.
And I had a few months with kind of exhausting thoughts for a couple of months ago, where I stopped to do this sharing for 2 months, because I had this sign, Cecilia. After time after time, it came to me, and I recognized it, and I told myself, okay, I take care of myself now for a little while.
Yeah.
And when I feel like I have got more relaxation in my body, more energy, I feel a little more happy, I will come back.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I didn't know when.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm here
Yes.
together with you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I really believe deeply that this is how it works, from inside and out. That it starts with you, and when you are in a good shape with yourself, relaxed, and feel better, it
Yeah.
will help for others also. You can be together with other people, and
Yeah.
and you feel better.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
always starts with you. It always starts with you.
Yes. 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 It always starts with you. I love what you were saying. I love what you were saying about the thoughts popping up all the time. Yes. You know, as you were talking, there was this, I don't know what is the research exactly, but I know I've read that it's just like something like from 70,000 to 80,000-90,000 of thoughts that we are always thinking. That's what's happening all the time. They're popping all the time. I love that as well. And yes, this is good. This is good because it's very helpful that we are thinking. It's really, really helpful because we can think, we can reflect, we can create through thoughts. So there's a lot of positive stuff that comes out of it. And if we don't understand it fully, it's easy to, in a way, the way I talk about it is like misunderstand or misuse the power of thought. And so I love it. And I also love what you've mentioned, that the thought is just thought, and actually we do not have to be letting it go or anything, because in my journey of understanding, I realized that a thought is just literally electrical activity, or it's just an energy.
Yeah.
I put a metaphor, and negative thoughts can feel like bricks. Yes, they can feel like bricks, heavy stones, but truly they are just energy. And truly, we don't actually have to do anything. And you've pointed so beautifully into just that awareness of what are you paying attention, because none of these thoughts are you. And I love that how you've been pointing. None of it is you, but you can point and you can choose from that perspective. It's so much easier to choose. So I love that as well. And I love how you have shared your journey and your story and landed in that beautiful place. And I think this is such a key realization of who we really are, because we can understand the system of thought and feeling and how we create from within, and this is really helpful. But then there is the deeper sense where we start to really understand that all this activity in our minds, all this thinking is not us. All these feelings that are transient going through our system is also not us. There is something that is deeper. There is something that is, not moving. There is something that is always present, that is us. And when we start to deepen that awareness about who we really are, that is also so very, very helpful on our journey that continues all the time. And I feel those moments. Actually, today I have a moment like this. I feel a little bit tired. It's Friday. I feel a little bit tired, and I feel like, oh, I'm gonna really look after myself this weekend. I really feel my body saying, Dorothy, it's time to step back a little bit and take care, and just take care, just step back, just relax a little bit more, just look after yourself, just just stop for a while, and that's okay. That's okay. So I love what you've shared. That's so beautiful, Cecilia.
And we got to learn that science by ourselves, because no one else can help us with that. We need to, maybe our family members can recognize it. Dorothy, you need rest, but you have responsibility to look after you. And that was something that I really have learned, that I'm the one that must take care of me, and I can't throw my thoughts anywhere. I can blow it out in the air, because it's just moving. We have nowhere to throw it.
Yeah.
Thoughts come, thought goes, and
yes.
we just have to be here and now, moment by moment, and decide how much we want to go in those negative thoughts and beliefs.
Yes, absolutely. And as you are talking, I don't know how much time we have, Cecilia, but as you are talking, what comes to me is, like, as I'm saying, yes, we can't, I'm going to be taking care. Already my mind is saying, yeah, but you should do this, you should do this. That natural, our mind goes there, isn't it? It's like, no, not too much rest, because you said this and this and this, you'll do immediately, isn't it? And it's just, as I'm just listening to you, I noticed that continuous doer wants to grab my being and throw it into doing again. And I think this is what we are always, isn't it? We are always dancing on that doer wanting to do and being, and I'm more able to kind of let that being be. But as we are talking right now, immediately I'm noticing that
that's why I think we need to be reminded all life I think we have to walk each other home, because we
yes,
always
exactly.
need this reminder.
Absolutely.
Always, because we forget. We forget over and over again.
Yeah.
When life happens, we forget. But it's always possible to start over, moment by moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make that fresh, because
yeah,
there's a possibility, even if it doesn't feel easy in people's life. We have messy things going on, but it's a direction.
yeah, yeah.
And it really helps to get support in the right direction, if we can support each other to come back again
Oh my
on
God.
the road.
Yes. Yes,
That's
absolutely.
why you doing this.
Yes, that's why we are doing this. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And
It's so
now
easy, isn't it? It's so easy yeah, and this is our journey, to be reminded, hey, remember, come back, isn't it? It's no problem to kind of get lost in it. The key thing is to remember, and I love what you are doing, because it's all about remembering. Yeah.
it's all about remembering. And now we remember that it's Friday, and we are going to take care of ourselves, right? So I'm going in now and cook some nice dinner for my husband and my son, and I also going to take care of my dogs.
Yes. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Dorothy, and yeah, have a nice Friday evening, and take care.
Yes.
Take care of
Yes.
all of you listeners who have been listening to this. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for giving your time.
Oh, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Cecilia, and I'm so glad that we could have this chat and remind ourselves of all this. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon and evening and weekend as well. And me too. So sending lots of love to you,
Me
and
too.
speak to you soon. And
Yeah,
everyone else. Have a lovely
everyone
weekend.
else. Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.